Hello, dear guest, where shall we start today? On this fine, dreary, rainy, or sunny day? I'm a werewolf in disguise, never meaning to betray your eyes. And I promise that I won't bite, for I am not one who loves a fight. I'm a gentle wolf, you see, as pleasant as can be. Maybe once in a while you'll find my smile to shine your world and my charms unfurled. No, I'm not the devil's true love. No, I'm not death's best friend. And I may not be blessed by the angels above, but my soul will never descend the evil road where death becomes a heavy load. My companions I adore, and few know of my lore. No blood will be shed, no need to be in dread. I'm like a pup to your heart, my claws won't ever tear you apart. I'm a gentle wolf, you see, as pleasant as can be. Maybe once in a while you'll find my smile to shine your world and my charms unfurled.
I'm scared. I'm scared. There's a graveyard waiting for me. I knew it. Damn it. This was going to be the end.
Don't worry, there's no graveyard.
How are you doing, dear?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing, sir?
I cannot complain.
Same. Okay, so where's my questions? There we go. So, Mikey, can you untime out Kronos?
The Chrono get timed out.
Yeah, 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. Let me see if can I do this. I'm gonna go back to my channel. Yeah, can you? Let me see. I'm gonna go back to my thing here. Poor Kronos. I'm so sorry. They mistook you for trolling. They mistook him for trolling. It was only a joke, Mikey.
Yeah, Kronos is special in all kinds of ways.
Yes.
Ed, and he's a good guy.
Yes. He is a good guy. Let me see, make him add as a moderator. I can't find a way to unban him. Not unban him, untime him out.
I think I'm not sure if you can untime someone out. I think once they're timed out, they're timed out. I think he's gonna have to just live with the timeout.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to put you in the doghouse. I mean,
sorry, you can't untime out people. The 10 bands comes in with that.
Darn it.
But you know what? It's okay. He will survive.
Yeah, I gave him a mod chip and in compensation for that.
There you go. There you go, Chrono. You moved up in the world.
He moved up. Yep. Okay. So let's see, what should I start with? So you want to talk about your book that you released, the what's it called? The
The
Essential
essential.
Skill of Masculine Presence.
Yeah. So, well, I think I should introduce myself to your audience, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so rude because I'm so used to
Yeah,
me
we
as a
talk.
friend. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go right
So,
ahead.
ladies and gentlemen, for those that don't know me, my name is Glenn Lawrence. I have a channel called Glenn Lawrence Presents. It's a predominantly pro masculine channel that I try to help men in this world of lost boys. We don't have enough men that are rising up and to lead them. You know, there's the red pill that tells them what they should fear about women and how they, that women are this and that. And I want to direct them into a place of not being angry at women, but you know what, being positive and constructive and building a future that they want to see for their children and their children's children. Um, so my goal is to, say, okay, now you got this information. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to whine and cry about it, or are you going to build something? And there's a bunch of Absaloms, and Absalom's is a son of David, King David, and I use as a reference as somebody who likes to be a snake oil salesman, or you could be a Nehemiah, someone who picks up the tools and builds something. And I'm about building things. I want to see men build things back together again. I want to see building healthy families. I want to see building strong societies and strong communities. And that's what I'm really about. So I say things in the most triggering way because you know what? Who cares about being politically correct? Rather just be correct. No need about being politically correct. My mentor was a good man by the name of R.P. Thor, and he wrote the book, Dominant Masculine Presence. And he asked me to write a book responding to his book, based off his book. And I wrote The Essential Skill of a Dominant Masculine Presence because my mentor lists 7 things, 7 P's, and presence was one of them. And so, my book is basically all about presence, a masculine presence.
Yeah, I can't really remember how do we do this, how we met, but I think we met from Elena. Wasn't that who it was? For
Yes. Elena
Elena
Barr.
Bar Fitness. Yes, and I remember being intrigued by your teachings and stuff, and being aware of kind of different from Rollo Tomasi, because I think I met Elena through Rollo stream, and and from Rollo it was from a guy that I used to be friends with. We're not friends anymore due to some complication, but yeah. So from Rollo to Elena, and then I went to you, and I ever since I was always consuming your content because I actually enjoyed how you preached the masculine presence in a very healthy way that wasn't so how would I put it? I was gonna say
Toxic.
misogynist.
So
Toxic.
massage. Yeah.
Yeah, you were like a Christian man, and I had when I was in first grade, I went to a Christian grade school for first grade. It was the last time I ever went to school, and so I was aware of the stories and stuff, and I liked how you put your spin on that, on the stories, and preaching it in a way that it made more sense on to being a better person, and I always
Thank
admired
you.
that about you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I try to, you know, leave things in a very positive light because
Yes.
we have one or two ways we could look at things. We could look at things as, oh, the world is ending, why try, wah wah wah, or we could say, you know what, okay, the world is ending, it wasn't always ending, we could course correct, we could do something about this, and you know what, let's do something about this rather than bitching about it, because there's more action, things that could get done if you actually put in the work rather than complaining about something.
Yeah, I always hate the complaining. I think, and I always heard like if it's the people that make excuses for things that don't do well. My dad always said this one thing was excuses are lies or something like that, because there's no excuse into not doing something right, or slacking, or all the things that don't get you along in life or through the day. So
Yeah.
it was what he always said, like, yeah, excuses are lies. And I think he tried to paint that in the image that he was saying excuses are bad, but the
Yeah,
bad is lying.
they are bad as lying because you have two choices in life. You either can make moves or you can make excuses. That's it. That's really in life, that's all you have. Okay, you want to reach this goal. You could give me 1,000 reasons why you cannot make that goal. That's excuses. Or you could give me movement, action, things that you're doing to pursue it, right? And achieve it. And you may not land on it. You may not get there. And that's okay. But guess what? You've gotten a lot farther than you were when you started, when you weren't going anywhere.
Yeah, totally. And I think from that, it was just keep on going and do what you can. And I always think that there's some lesson like you could always do better. So like even though you did the best you could, another chance you could do it better and better if you have that mindset. And I think it's kind of like a humble kind of way of thinking of that, because you're thinking, oh, well, that could have been better, when somebody says that's really good. And you say, oh, it could have been better. And, move and you keep going at it. Practice makes perfect, I guess, if that's the saying of that.
Yeah, we could always do better.
Yes.
I mean, nothing I can do is perfect. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for me to learn. And if you can't say that there's room for you to learn, then you are regressing.
Yeah.
You're not progressing. You're going backwards. And that's not good. That's not healthy.
No, never healthy. Okay, so I think the first question was who are your personal influences? We all know RP Thor. Are there any others besides him? I mean, there's no one like him. Of course, he's always number one. I loved him too. And were there any other personal influences alongside him?
I'm going to start off with my dad, right? My dad has been the hardest working man I've ever seen and ever met in my life. My dad has literally, up until like, I want to say I was like 35 years old, my dad has always worked 2 full-time jobs. And he has done that because he wanted always to provide. He was always that way. And then when he finally retired from his job as a plumber for the city of LA, he still worked full time. Still right now, he's at work right now at Home Depot full time. And he's about to get another retirement from there in like 2-3 years. And he's been the hardest working man. And he's always said to me, like, look, life is not easy. Life is tough. My job is not to make life easy for you, but it's to build you tough enough that you can withstand life. Right. And he's always shown me the work ethic that it doesn't matter how hard it is. If it's anything's worth anything in life, it's going to be tough. It's going to take work. And so my dad is also, my dad and Thor, actually, many of you guys don't know this. I took them both to a movie premiere that I was in, a production that I was part of, both a little bit of on camera time, but also more behind the scenes production. And I took both Thor and my dad there. I was grateful enough to have both very strong male dominant role models in my life. They're celebrating this moment with me. It was a lot of fun. And it's funny, me and my dad were talking about it last night at dinner. And so I've been grateful for that, to have a dad that has been the dad that he has been. And I'll even give Rollo Tomasi credit. When I was going through my divorce, it was his work in the first book, The Rational Male, that opened my eyes to like, okay, so I'm not the only guy going through this. So I give him credit for consolidating all that material from all the previous writers, like the Book of Pook, and a bunch of other contributors to this, that he basically contributed or compiled all their work into one manuscript called The Rational Male. So I give him credit for that too. Very, very grateful for his work. Don't like him as a person, but grateful for the man's work. Let's see. I honestly say it wasn't until later in life, that I started diving more into the Bible, more and more. I was already a youth pastor at one point. I went to college for it, and I was the youth pastor. But it wasn't until after my divorce that I started reading the word more. And I would like to say, you know, a great inspiration is God's character. He really kind of tells us how to be a man. Um, if you really want to know what masculinity looks like, is just look at the character of God, how he has been gracious at times, but then also very stern into discipline. And you know, he didn't very wishy-washy, you know. Um, and that's just my opinion. I'll say another great person that I enjoy looking up to is guys like guys like, you know, that have no problem admitting their failures, right? Donovan Sharp is another great guy. He has made mistakes and he has admitted that he's made mistakes, and he has learned from them. Guys like anybody that owns their shortcomings, that doesn't put themselves above people, doesn't make people think that they're holier than thou. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that's truly like understands that, like, hey, I'm not perfect. So yeah, guys like that.
Mm-hmm. And it's also cool to always admit your hypocrisies, because a lot of people, they, I guess maybe nowadays, maybe, I don't know how it was in the olden days, but you know, how they always lash out when they're caught red-handedly because they find out that they're the hypocrite. You know, they do something that they told somebody else about that's not cool, and they do the same thing, and it's like a slap to their face, really, and they get angry. I have come across people that are like that, and it's I think it.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna educate you on something. You're gonna learn this eventually in life. We are all hypocrites.
Yes.
Every single one of us is a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Or we have done something hypocritical. Mm-hmm. A hypocrite is something that's actively doing something, but we're all have been hypocrites in time.
Yeah.
You know. So guess what? There's always room for another hypocrite.
Yeah. But it's always best to admit it too, instead of denying it or just, you know, embracing that part of you. Because I know there's a lot of people that just can't handle the fact that they are the hypocrite. And I've always, even with friends sometimes, or somebody, you know, who I just meet or whatever, I may say something, and then they find something in the past that is hypocritical to that. And I embrace that. I even say, you know, that's cool. You know, I embrace the fact that I was the hypocrite, and I learned from that. And
yeah, I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I did that shit. That's why I'm telling you not to do that shit. Yes. I've already done it, so you don't have to do it. You don't have to learn from what my mistakes are. Don't do it, dummy. Like, yeah. I'm trying to help you be better than me.
Yeah, and I always hate when people are like, I guess, you know, with the typical teenager, you know, thing is you're told not to do something, but you do it anyway, just for the heck of it. And it's a dumb, I don't know if that's just how the brain is, you know, like, but you got, you know, it actually teaches them to learn the mistake. And hopefully, since they were told prior, that they won't do that again. And so sometimes it works for others, but sorry, my mom.
No worries. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, he waves to you. Here's her hand. This is what you'll see of her. Everybody sees of her. Just her hand. It's a beautiful hand.
Lovely.
Lovely. He says your hand's lovely. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about women. So
women.
Yes, women.
Okay.
So who are your top 5 most badass women in real life and also in multimedia?
Ooh.
I better be one of them. I'm kidding.
Yeah, Charlotte the Werewolf, number 1 up there. I'm making out of this interview alive, okay? You know what? I would say a friend of mine that's she's a very good role model, I think, in when it comes to relationships, is Gia McCool. She's been married to her husband 20 years. Very strong, healthy relationship. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with them, and seeing them in action. Her and her husband are great people. I love that she really loves like Thor's work, and she's actually helping write the next book that I'm coming up with, which is the elegant feminine presence. And her and Thor got to talk a lot, and they got to really connect, because her father actually passed away from the same cancer that Thor passed away from. And so there was a bond there. There was I guess you could say an experience that she shared that we equally shared. So she's a really cool one. She's also great in fitness. So like ladies, you want to get fit, get right, get tight, hit her up. I would say another one. Oof. You know what? I would say another friend of mine, Lika Ospovia, right? She's a Russian supermodel and pop singer. And like I will tell you, like her and her husband's story is amazing, right? He was a degenerate gambler, lost everything, tells her like, hey, they're repoing the car tomorrow. And you might as well go find someone else that could take care of you better. And instead of like being like a modern woman and up and just dipping out and be like deuces, she found them both a part-time job at this like pawn shop. And her husband, being very business-minded, helped this pawn shop owner open 5 more pawn shops in LA. They went from a 1-bedroom apartment in like Compton to like this. They have a beautiful mansion in Studio City now. And she travels the world. She's been in Vegas. She was at the AMAs this past year in Vegas. She's also had a residency at the Resort World, and still happily married. Still just, her husband's a couple years older than her. She's another strong woman that when it was more convenient for her to dip out, she chose to stay with her commitment and to her marriage and to the love of that they established together. And I think that is something very admirable for women. Now 3 more or 2 more, because I already said you.
Yeah, 2 more. Then after that, you're going to have to do the multimedia one, like in films or shows. That's after that.
Well, see, Gia McCool and Lika are both multimedia in film. I'm doing a twofer, right?
Okay,
so
twofer.
The twofer. Let's see. 2 more. Oh my goodness. Does like Jesus's mom count?
I guess so.
Okay.
Sure.
There we go. Mary, Jesus's mom. Another woman. Let's see. Can I quote Solomon here? As I looked and I, found one righteous man out of 1,000, and yet I couldn't find one righteous woman. Let me see another. You know what?
This
no.
is for you.
You know what? I will say my grandmother.
Yes.
My grandmother, her name is Marie Antoinette, right? Funny. Her real name is Marie Antoinette. And she's the matriarch of the family. My grandfather passed away, and she's been able to hold our family together. We have like 1 billion relatives. We got family in Detroit that are like mobsters that that are just like real gangsters, and she doesn't even let us talk to them anymore. But like I have seen this woman, the strength of a woman, corral all of her kids, and she had 7 kids, and corral all of them, keep them together, keep the family tight. And we do family events yearly, and it's all because of grandma Tony. So there you go. Yeah. Now in the industry. Okay. And see, this is interesting because I work in this industry. I work in the film industry. So it's kind of hard for me I see how people are in real life or behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And that that to me kind of takes away the image that they present in real life, right? So, but I still say Lika and Gia number 1 and number 2 in the industry. In media, let's see.
Sarah Connor.
Are we talking about characters in movies?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll help you make it easier.
All right. That's better. So characters in movies. All the wives in the Stepford Wives. Okay, there you go. All those little robotic wives, those are great women. I would say a great character in the film. So there's this movie that I did called Marriage Made in Heaven, and the gal that plays the wife of the lead actor Robert, she plays in Law and Order. She's a detective in Law and Order, and I forgot her name. She's a very elegant lady. I love the way that she carries herself both professionally and privately.
Is it from SVU Law and Order?
No, not SVU, just the regular Law and Order. She's the blonde. I forgot her name.
Shame on you.
I know, right? And then I would say I appreciate it's gonna be a weird take. So I do appreciate Ariana Grande. And this is weird because she's super woke and everything, but I got to meet her when me and her brother were working on this production called Rock of Ages. We did the live performance. We did the live theater performance of Rock of Ages. And this is a different version of her. I got to see her humanity and her caring. Like there's a lot of people that were outside that were homeless that she brought this like huge, like, after party thing there to the theater, and she made sure all of those people got taken care of, like the ones that were around, they got fed and everything before any of the cast or crew did. So that was super nice of her. I do like that. I would say when it comes to like creators, so Karen Steins, I think her name is. She runs the Happy Wife School, or a channel on YouTube. She is great. I would also say Caitlin Michelle. She runs Cake Psych. It's a channel on YouTube as well. I collaborate with her. I talk with her plenty of times behind the scenes. And she'll straight up ask me, like, Glenn, what is a good concept, a good topic to bring up and I could dive into? Because she really breaks down the psychology of a lot of things. I think she's great as well. Is that 5? I think I did 5. I think I'm good.
You can do as many as you want.
Okay, I'm done.
You're on a roll.
I'm done there. Nail in the coffin.
I was thinking about Ronda. I was going to ask you about Ronda
Rousey?
Rousey?
You know what? I think she's a badass, like when it comes to like her being in the ring. And you know what? I love the fact that she's fallen out of like the fighting scene. And from what I understand of her in a relationship, like she's really submissive, even though she probably could kick her dude's ass. So I think that's pretty cool too. Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we love her. I also loved her in Expendables. I thought she was awesome in that.
She was. She did a great character. But see, the problem with those movies, though, and this is a problem with Hollywood, is that they don't give women a realistic, like, hero's journey, right? Like, the reality is that Ronda Rousey could beat up another woman, right? And she could probably beat up some men, but the average man, I don't think so. No. I don't think that's realistic. So women think that, oh yeah, I could be badass, and I go over there, and then they try to do something to a man, and then reality slaps them in the face, and it kind of sets women up for failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, breaks the wrist too if you punch a man's jaw.
Some men's jaw got glass in it, and it just snaps.
Oh.
Poor guys.
Poor guy. Yeah, I always thought that too. Like, I think one film I was very impressed with what you were saying about the reality of a woman's hero's journey was the film with Jennifer Garner called Peppermint. And in that film, I don't know if you've seen that one, but I think that was a very good interpretation of, how a woman is against, all these men that she's going after, these, mobsters that,
Yeah, it did show a better hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that, because here's the thing. They tried to create a hero's journey for a woman in a man's world.
Mm-hmm.
In the same, try to equate what a woman would have to be going through, and it still even doesn't track, right? In the reality of things, because as much as a woman could learn how to defend herself and protect herself, right? She's still limited by strength, speed, ability, right? And it doesn't equate to reality. Now, it would create, she could definitely handle herself against other women, or very, very weak men. But even a guy that is, 6 foot, 200 pounds, he still is going to be able to manhandle her in most regards, Yeah. And so it doesn't set up a good hero's journey is like this. It's like, the guy has to become this thing. He has to become great. And in the struggle of becoming great, we see his ups and downs and his lows and highs. And then he finally becomes great towards the end. When everything was on the line, when everything mattered, he rose to the occasion and he was victorious. Look at Wonder Woman. She was wonderful from the beginning. She had a Wonder Bra that was wonderful from the beginning. Like, she didn't need to become anything. She just was. And that sets women up for failure. And it gives them this false expectation of thinking that they are just wonderful, that they have. That's why you see these women on like whatever shows and everything that say, you know what, I'm a 10. Well, if you're a 10, that means you have no room for improvement.
Yeah.
Then that means you're perfect. And if that's the case, then why are you single? If you're that perfect woman that every guy wants to be with, why are you single?
Yeah. Why are you single? Yeah. It is sad. And you ever hate the ones when they say they don't need a man, and I'm thinking, you're that perfect and holier than thou to not want a man in your life that will protect you and care for you. You just want their money. I mean, that's all you want, like in muscles. Yeah. And I'm thinking,
I'm like, you know what? You need to thank the plumbers. You know what? Because that shower that you took today in your bathroom, or the shower in your, that you took today in your shower or whatever, a man did that. Mm-hmm. You don't need a man. You couldn't do that. You didn't do that. Right. Or the trash, the trash that you put out at the curb every night. Right. And someone comes and takes your trash. That a man does that. You know what would happen if there wasn't men? You would have trash. And you know what? The ladies, you guys have all those other products you use to that time of the month. You would have piles of that stacked up somewhere, right? Ooh. If it wasn't for a man that took that stuff and disposed of it for you, so you didn't have to see it every day, right? So no, you can't say you don't need a man. You always need a man, because the world that you live in was built by men, and you wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for men. So yes, we need men, and we need to congratulate men and encourage men and thank men and say that, yes, we need you, but we need you to rise up. There's nothing wrong with saying, men, we need you and we need you to rise up. That's okay. But to say that we don't need a man, that's garbage.
Yeah. And they're always having a man. I mean, every day, like what you just said, men do all this stuff. It's like you already have men taking care of you. So what you're saying is you don't need a man. You already have a bunch of them.
You have men.
Yeah.
Yep.
And men need women. So it's
Yes.
like,
But let me ask you this. Let me throw this question at you.
Mhm.
What does a woman offer a man besides children and sex that a man cannot do for himself?
I was gonna say, if it's a good woman, emotional security. Like he could, even though that can make you weak, and men become too vulnerable to a woman, and a woman can weaponize that. But I'm talking about in a sense of a good woman.
But what can a woman offer a man besides children and sex that a man cannot offer or do for himself?
What is it? What is it?
That's a good question. Because a man could cook for himself, a man could wash his own laundry, right? A man could entertain himself, right? So the only thing that men cannot do for themselves is reproduce. They cannot provide children, right? So besides reproduction, so and so this is and here's a question I bring up to women all the time. It's like the ones that say they don't need a man. If men didn't have penises, right, and they still were able to do all the things that men do, and they couldn't have sex with women, would men need women?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
But women will always need men because women need
Yeah.
men to do the things that men do. So we have this warped version view of, and it's not like who is the priority or who is more, who's the prize, right? If a guy finds a woman that respects him, that is submissive to him, that gives up her frame of the world to live in his frame, then that's a good thing. That's a prize. That man should treasure that woman, right? And if a woman finds a guy that loves her and values her and respects her as the weaker sex and says, I want to provide for you, I want to build this world and make a better world with you. And you know what? Here's the castle that I built my empire, and I want to share it with you. That woman has found a good guy, right? And I don't think we prioritize men. We look at men as something discarded, something that is disposable. Well, because men are disposable in a sense, but not disposable in the way that we have taught women or society to view men to begin with, right? And I always like bringing up this Bible phrase to kind of put things in perspective, right? In Corinthians, it says that a man was not created from women, but women from man, right? Adam's rib, right? So it wasn't a man was not created from women, but women from men. Therefore, a man was not created for women, but women were created for men.
For men, yeah.
So why do men always feel the need to appeal to the thing that was created for them? It should be the other way around. And in this world that we live in, we have flipped the script, and we have done so in a way that puts men in a position of beneath women, that they're less than. And that right there does not set up for a good relationship. Now, you could honor the woman, but it doesn't mean you submit to them.
Yeah. I think that's what always bothered me, because I never knew this until when I was really doing my research for a script series I was writing, and it mentioned how Eve wasn't the first woman made by God, but it was Lilith. I think that's how you say her name, Lilith, who was made for Adam, and he was
What Bible
telling.
is that from?
I don't know. Was that Jewish? I can't remember if that was the Jewish one.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of stories about Lilith, and it's not in the Bible right now. There is reference, I think, in Isaiah to the spirit of Lilith, right? But not an actual person of Lilith. But I do know the folklore of of Lilith being Adam's first wife, and then basically she wasn't submissive; she was a feminist. And then Adam got rid of her, and then God gave him Eve.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think Lilith ran away twice and then was stolen by Satan. And Satan, she becomes the mother of demons, I think, like that. That's how Satan made his demon empire or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I need to brush up on my Jewish history.
Yeah. I'll see if I can go find it again. But I read that from somewhere. Like, yeah. that's what happened. Darn, I was going to say something earlier. What were we talking about? Or was it Lilith I'm thinking of? Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so I was kind of curious. In college, what led you to major in theology?
Oh man. Okay. So at the time, I was a barber. I actually was a barber and a personal trainer. I had like a few barber shops that I was running, and I was attending this church. And it's a funny story. So I've always had a bunch of tattoos, and every time I would walk into a church, like it was always like funny because like the pastor would change his sermon about like whatever he was talking about to salvation, as if like he was trying to talk to me like, hey, you stranger that just entered a church that must not know God, let me help you out and say that God still loves you. I'm like looking around like, who's he talking to, you know? And it's because I had tattoos, and I got really tired of being judged by tattoos, so I just stopped attending churches. And then I ran into this one pastor, and then I pulled up my sleeve because he invited. He's like, "Oh, you guys can come to my church," and I pull up my sleeve and I show him my tattoos. Like, so do you got a problem with these? He's like, "No, actually, matter of fact, if you come to my church 4 weeks in a row, I'll get a tattoo." And I'm like,
"Okay,
deal." So I went 4 weeks in a row thinking that he was going to flake out and not get a tattoo. And I had a tattoo artist like that lived near me. So I'd hit him up and be like, "Yo, bro, I need you to come to my house. We're going to do a tattoo on a pastor." He's like, "No shit. Really? A real pastor?" I'm like, "Yes, if he shows up." And he's like, "All right, cool." And I covered the tattoo costs and everything. So this pastor in my living room had my tattoo artist tattoo him on the arm. And it's his wife's name, Jill, in a heart. Well, he used the old English script in that J, that cursive J had a solid line through it, and it looks like it says Bill. It looks like it says he loves Bill. And it's been a ongoing joke ever since then. But so this pastor, he had a small church, and they had young people that were growing up, and they needed a youth leader. And I was like the youngest, male member of the church in my early 30s or late 20s, early 30s. And I was like, you know what? We need a youth pastor here. He goes, "Yeah. You want the job?" I'm like, "I don't know. I need to go to school for that, And I was told that I was stupid growing up. So I stayed away from college. And he's like, "You're not stupid." He goes, "Enroll in it. Just prove yourself that you're not stupid." So I enrolled in Liberty University, and I end up graduating with honors in theology because I wanted to be a youth pastor. And I wanted to prove to myself that I wasn't stupid. So I proved to myself that I wasn't stupid, and I became the youth pastor. And so that's what really got me studying theology from the very, very beginning.
That's a beautiful story.
And it was up in Washington State.
Huh. Right where I am.
Not too far from you, actually. Probably about maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half away.
Wow, that's awesome. I always got, curious about the tattoo culture. It was like, what encouraged you to get tattoos in the first place?
A rebel, being a rebel. Being told that I shouldn't do it and I couldn't do it or is bad.
This answers your question, Pleasantville.
I don't get the tattoo thing, to be honest. For men, it's very tribal. Like tattoos was a very tribal thing for men, right? Historically speaking. We in America, we have glamorized it to be more of like, this is me, whatever. But most of my tattoos all are religious based. 116 on my neck does not stand for 116th Street Gang. It actually stands for Romans 1:16 that says I'm unashamed of the gospel. The cross on my arm, only God could judge me, right? The Jesus turning into a skull here is what I said modern church has done to Christianity. Modern church has tainted Jesus's image. I have a scroll on my arm right here. It says, this is when I went overseas and I was in the military. It says, as I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, I feared no evil, for God is with me. I was literally facing very death situations. I got this one. It says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's a scripture. Let's see. Death before dishonor. That's nothing scriptural. I got the story of Samson tattooed on my ribs right here. And it's Samson pulling down the pillars and killing all the Philistines. So for me, I like the story of Samson was like a story of me. Like, Samson was, every big mistake Samson had to do with women. Mm-hmm. And for me, every major mistake in my life, I had to deal with women, and I learned from that. And to me, it was a reminder, right? Like even when Samson failed, Samson was a judge and had the most amazing ability, the most amazing strength that any man that walked the face of the earth could have. And he, people would say that he was a horrible judge, that he squandered his gift. And I said, yeah, he sucked. He missed the mark, but he still completed his mission. He still completed and he still defended the Israelites, the people that he was supposed to protect. And even though it cost him his life, he still killed thousands of Philistines and protected the people that he was supposed to protect in his dying moments. So I look at that as saying that, no matter where you go, no matter how bad you fuck up in life, right, you still have the opportunity to do right. And you could change the course of your life. You could change the course of your direction, and you can still fulfill the things that you're supposed to set out to do. And that to me is a great story to look at and say, like, no, you're not written off. You're not a failure. You still have the opportunity to change something. You still have the opportunity to leave your mark on this world and fulfill your mission. And it may cost you your life, but you know what? You still have the opportunity. And I love that story.
Yeah. Isn't that the one with Delilah that she cut his hair and his hair was his strength? Yeah, he made himself vulnerable to her or something like that.
Yes. That's another reason, man. No pillow talk with women. Don't get vulnerable. That right there tells you don't be vulnerable with women. See what happens when you give up your vulnerability? Mm-hmm. They weaponize it.
They weaponize it. I think that's what's so accurate with like James Bond. I know people don't like this one film with Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig movie, and supposedly that is the first story of James Bond, how he, his first thing and everything. And, he gets with Vesper and, he falls in love with her and she's married to another man that she's, having to save, and she's with him and, they fall in love, and I would assume that she was in love with him, but, his vulnerability to her in, willing to have that, what's it called? Emotional connection with her that made him realize that he should never trust anybody, which he was told before by was it M or something like that, don't trust anybody, and he trusted her, Vesper, and that's what led his downfall and broken his heart and affected how he became. And if think even was it No Time to Die, which is the last Daniel Craig film for Bond, and he goes to her gravesite to let her go, Vesper's gravesite.
Yeah.
And what is your take on that?
So I think there's a lot of great Bible parables, and stories that we could relate to it. Like, okay, so we all know the Garden of Eden, right? Mm-hmm. What happened there, right? Yeah. Eve ate the fruit, and then, Adam did, and then God got mad at them for knowing that they were naked, right? And then, being disobedient. And Adam goes, yo, it's because of the woman you gave me. And then God says to him, because you listened to the voice of your wife. Where was Adam's sin? Adam's first sin was because he rejected what God told him to do and listened to the words of the woman who was already deceived by the serpent. And that's why Adam fell. That's why Adam sinned, because he chose the words of his wife over God's. And what a lot of guys tend to do is we allow women to take us off of our mission. Your wife, men that are married, she's not your mission. She's your helpmate. God already gave you a mission. Your mission was predestined way before that. And you know what? You were supposed to be focused on your mission. She's supposed to help you reach your mission, but she's not supposed to be your mission. And so many men, especially in this whole happy wife, happy life thing, and this is kind of where James Bond messes up, is that he actually ends up making Vespers his mission.
Yes.
And in doing so, that the aftermath of that set a whole slew of problems for him. And a good woman is going to be not your mission. She doesn't want you to make her your mission. She wants to be your helpmate for you to fulfill your mission. Okay. Mm-hmm. And any woman that requires you or wants you to make her your mission, run.
Yeah. I think even John Milton's Paradise Lost, he emphasized how the interaction would have been with Eve, with Adam. And Adam is thinking, I'm loyal to God, all this, but I love my wife. Like, I love my wife no matter what. And because she is
well, she's from him. She's literally part of him physically, because it was his rib.
Too. Yeah, and it was like with that, and it was also the fact that she was tainted by the snake, and she ate the fruit, and he loved her so much, like he wanted to be like her, that he wanted to be with her in that way, to that other side. And I think that's why I love Paradise Lost so much, was because it emphasized how it wasn't just Adam, listening to his wife. It was more the fact of the connection he had with her, the spiritual connection, everything. And he would do anything for love. And I think
the sad thing is that he negates God's love for him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, so that same love that he feels for Eve, he doesn't realize that he should have that same love for God, or that God has that same love for him. And that he was willing to jeopardize everything, when she didn't create anything for him.
Yeah.
And God created this whole paradise, this garden, this perfect habitat, right? And he said, "Hey, man," and gave him life, and said, "Look," and she didn't give him life. Actually, if anything, Adam gave her life. It was his rib. Yeah. It was from his rib. And that's where I think we realize that love could be tainted as humans.
Yeah.
And it's sad, because the thing, okay, what would Adam would have done if he was like, "No, woman, don't do that. Don't listen to that stupid snake with legs," and then, smack the apple out of her hand? We could still all be in paradise right now. Who knows? Right? But because the Bible says that Adam was there. Adam was witnessing it. He was kind of like, "Oh shit, he's about to die. Let's see if she eats this fig, if she actually really does die." And then when she doesn't see her die, he goes, it looks pretty good. Let me take a bite. Right? And, right there, boom. That's the fall.
Yeah. It's actually, I kind of wonder if that's just how, I'm going to say, that's always going to be the reflection as civilization moves forward. And it's sad, because I wish, things could turn around a bit, like what you're saying, what you're helping with men, to get that foothold in the world that's strong and, dominant, but not in a toxic way, but just a very, a man.
Benevolent is the right word. You want men to be benevolent leaders.
Yes,
leaders. That take consideration of those that are underneath them. And, and having a enlightened self-interest, knowing that helping others ultimately helps me, right? If I help other creators, and this is what my nonprofit, the Sons of Thor, is really going to be, focused on. Not only is it helping men, level up and become better men, I also want to support other creators that are presenting good messages, positive messages for men. So even if people don't listen to Glenn Lawrence, they think Glenn Lawrence is too much, or he's too weird and he has tattoos and a nose piercing and they don't like that. That's fine. But you know what? You may listen to someone else like Grid One or someone else who doesn't look like Glenn Lawrence and they share the same message. And then I want to be able to support that creator financially so that they're able to continue to present these positive messages for young men and for men to listen to and to equip themselves with the tools that they need to change their life. Because you know what? We may not see the change in my lifetime. I'm 41. I may not see the change. But you know what? If I start the groundwork now and we start moving forward now, my grandchildren may be able to inherit the harvest that I started laying the work for. I may never see it, but they may be able to be the recipients of that. And that's the focus. It's not for me. It's for the future. And people are too hedonistic and selfish to even think about the future generations and how things that they're doing today are going to affect the future generations. They don't care. They care about me. And I'm wanting to tell people, hey, let's stop thinking about you and thinking about your future you, your children's you. You know, how is it going to affect them? Because the Bible tells us to leave an inheritance for our children's children. And everybody thinks inheritance just means financial. No, an inheritance is, you know, the culture and society that we live in. Are we changing the world? Are we giving our children a world that's better off than we found it? Or are we giving them a world that's worse off than we found it? And if we're leaving it worse off than we got it, then we have failed them. We're not leaving an inheritance for them. We're leaving them a debt. We're leaving them problems rather than a blessing.
Yeah. And I always worry with women and men these days sometimes when they don't want children, or because they're told that having children takes away your career, takes away your life, you know, drains you. It makes you not live your fullest potential as a woman. And I'm thinking that's kind of another thing that is leading to the downfall of women in general and humanity. And it's so sad when I see these whatever podcast women, I should say, saying that, oh yeah, you know, it's whatever, you know, they don't even think about it. Like it's a lame thing to think about the future. They want to be in the live party of the now. And then when the future hits them, it's like, oh crap, I really messed up. You know, I shouldn't have done what I've done. And I always get upset, you know, it's nothing wrong with women having a career besides men, like you were saying, how men take the trash and everything. And men enforced or allowed women to go up in occupations, you know, and be their own leaders, be their own, you know, whoever they are. And I think women have misinterpreted the fact that they think being a leader is being the competition against men, or that men will always be better and be like, always got to fight against men. And I think that's ruins what they're saying about equality. Yeah, they're all about equality.
There's no such thing as equality. There
is no such thing. I mean, you can't, you know, heave up what a man can heave up, you know, with his bare hands.
And do that. I don't have a uterus and I can't bring life. You know what?
Yeah.
This is so sad is that feminism has lied to women and men have lied to women. Okay. Yes. And I was one of those guys that lied to women. I used to say, hey, yeah, your body count don't matter, girl. Man, who cares? Nobody's going to know. Let's go do some things, you know, have fun. Right. But you know what? I contributed to a woman's body count and made her maybe potentially unmarriageable in another man's eyes because I contributed to the hookup culture. I was part of the problem. Right. And I could say that. And I have written a letter. I've read it out publicly, apologizing to women, saying that I'm sorry for being part of the problem, you know. And I want women to understand that, you know, the most beautiful thing about you is not what you could do that equals to what men do. It's what we can't do that you could do. You bring life into the world.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. That is something monumental that no man could do. That separates you. That makes you different. And instead of trying to be a blank slate and equal, we need to celebrate our differences. You know, yes. I don't have a problem with women being in the workforce because they have to. I think that's fine. But you know what I do have a problem with? I do have a problem with men that said it was okay for women to be workers to begin with. And then not to say that women were not working historically. Women have
Mhm.
always worked. If you look at the Proverbs 31, that woman worked, but she worked outside from her home, right? She went and took money and she bought a vineyard with her own money that she's earned from the creativity, the crafts, or whatever she built and she sold, right? She bought a vineyard, right? And it says that her husband had no need for not trusting her. This woman was upright, right? Nobody's praising that woman. No, everybody needs to be a boss bee that goes out and has to conquer the corporate world. And if we notice anything, any guys that say, oh yeah, it's okay, I don't care, my girl pays 50-50, you're saying you're okay with your woman having to shoulder your half of your responsibility. And women that accept that are accepting less than from men. They're not allowing men, they're not holding men accountable, saying, you know what, no, if you want to be my husband, if you want to be my man, then I expect this from you. And then the man should say, okay, if I'm going to be your husband and your man, then I expect this from you. All right, there's expectations. But any man that says it's okay for her to take half and pay half of things for me, or to shoulder half of the burden, is saying it's okay that for her to do my job. Well, then why are you mad at her later on when she's trying to enforce some level of, because you already said we're equal. So then when you're trying to say there's this hierarchy now, where do you get off saying there's this hierarchy when she has to say, hey, I have to do part of your job because you fail at it? That's a problem, man. We need to hold our responsibility and take our responsibility and say, you know what? No, this is my responsibility. This is for my relationship. I'm the provider. I'm the protector of this home. I'm the priest of this home. I lead what direction that we're going in. Okay. And your job is, I'm going to give you these tools here. And inside this home, in this thing that I built for us, I want you to thrive with these tools. And here's how you utilize these tools and set her up for success in this world in that form. And I can't blame him. I can't blame as much as feminism as I blame the men that allowed feminism to thrive.
Yeah.
Behind feminism, it wasn't just a bunch of women. There were men financially supporting this movement that allowed this movement to get to where it is. It was men.
Yeah. It is actually sad because most people don't know that. Women don't know that, because if you tell them, they won't believe you. Like, what about Gloria Steinem and all these people? But there's always the man behind a successful woman, as there is a successful woman behind every successful man. I'm surprised people don't think about that.
I always say there's a very loyal woman behind every successful man.
That too, yes. Yeah.
Because it's her loyalty that allows him to stay focused on his mission and not be distracted by outside things that he should not be focused on. Because if she's taking care of the household and she's taking care of what he has stewarded her with, in the home, then he's not worried about it. That means he's allowed to focus more time and energy on creating this success for his family and his offspring, right? And it's her being loyal to her role and allowing him to not be distracted with other things allows him to be as successful as he is. If a guy is being distracted by, oh crap, I got to do this because now she's mad about this and I got to do that, right? All that distraction stops men from progressing and getting where they need to go to reach their goal. But a woman that allows him to thrive and takes care of what she's supposed to take care of allows him to be successful. And they both reap the rewards of that success because they're both playing their role. Yeah.
And I also think that there should always be a celebration of both sides, like what you were saying, how men, should celebrate the woman because she can give birth, she can bring life to the earth. I think women should celebrate men because, like what you say, they do practically everything. And I think that there needs to be more respect in this world. I think it was Steve Sandman. He was saying something. He said this in terms of relationships, that a woman should give a man respect, sexual variance, and peace. And I think he misses love. I think L should be in there, so it's love. And I don't think it should be just in relationships how they make it work. I think it's for everything, like how you treat your neighbor, how you treat your mother, your father, well, not sexual variance. Well, not for your mother and father on
Yeah,
that one.
no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like, but
but
so I will say this: a man understands love is through respect.
yes.
Because all the people that have ever hurt me were all ones that said they loved me.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all the ones that didn't respect me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the ones that respected me, even my enemies,
mm-hmm.
they have never hurt me.
Yeah.
Because they respect me enough not to hurt me. So men, it's love and respect are the same coin, but just opposite sides. That's why I think in Ephesians it says, the Bible says for women to respect their husbands, to submit to them and respect them, right? And it calls men to love their wives, right? It doesn't say wives love your husbands. Now it does say that in Titus later on, but for the relationship dynamic, right? Women need to respect their husbands and submit to their authority, right? And men need to love their wives. And I think that is a huge, it's literally the same coin, but just opposite sides. So men understand if a man feels respected by his wife or his girlfriend, he feels loved by her, right? But if a woman felt respected by her man, she may not necessarily feel loved by him. She may see that, oh, he respects me as a peer, but she doesn't feel like he is loved, that she loves him, that he cares for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And did you freeze?
No, I'm here. I'm moving.
Froze. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's good. It just locked up all of a sudden, like we just went both out and then back in.
Oh,
YouTube trying to shut us down?
StreamYard does that sometime with the connection.
Oh, okay. And I think this is something that just occurred to me. It just actually occurred to me, Allison, that the actual equality between a man and a woman is the understanding of the differences and accepting them. I think that is equality. That's the answer. Not to compete and try to be better than one another or seeing each other that way.
I would say that the best definition of equality is understanding that both lives are equally valuable, right?
Yes.
Like the work that I do as a man, what I do as a man is valuable, right? But guess what? The role that you play as a woman is also equally valuable because we don't have one without the other. Right. Now, our positions and our hierarchy may be different in order of authority and control, right? And power, but we're both equally valuable. The general's life is no more valuable than the private's life because the general doesn't have anybody to command if there's no privates enlisted underneath him.
Yeah.
Right. So both lives are equally valuable. Their function in life is different, and that function needs to be celebrated, not demonized, not belittled, right? It's the function that makes us different, but the values, both men and women are equally in value. Their lives are equally valuable.
Yeah. And we always need each other for separate things. It's just sad how society just doesn't allow, it doesn't allow, but how it doesn't accept that, and it's so sad when people yell at you and just go off on you. And I just always wondered, why do they always do that when it's freedom of speech? It's freedom of belief, freedom of speech, and they go off on you for saying something that is true. And
because the truth offends them. The truth is offensive.
Yeah.
The truth doesn't have to, everybody thinks the truth has to be all fluttery and butterflies and rainbows. No, the truth is offensive. And if it offends you, that's a good thing. You know why? That means that you have the ability to do something about it. You could change that for you. When people like, if I tell somebody, if someone tells me the truth and I get mad, right? It's because of one of two reasons. One, I'm believing a lie and I don't want to accept the truth. That's a me problem.
Yeah.
True, if it's also the truth and they're saying like Glenn is not measuring up in this area and it's true, guess what? That's still a me problem and I could do something about it. I could change that. I have power over that, right?
Yeah.
What I get mad about is when somebody lies to me, because then I go, this is untrue. I'm not going to reject. This person is trying to give me a lie, trying to sell me something that's not true and wants me to believe this untruth. I'm going to be mad at them because they're giving me something that's untrue. Right. So the truth is offensive. Nowhere in the world does it say the truth is going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
But the truth is the truth, and that's just the way the world is. It's not. There's no my truth. There's no her truth. There's no their truth. There is just the truth.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, so you do songwriting, right? So yeah, I hear your songs on your channel. I love them. I was curious.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I had this question written out, but you already did answer it in your live stream today, because I was going to ask you if you wrote your own lyrics for your songs, but I will
Every single
say,
one of them.
yeah, the right way to go. And I was curious, what is your writing process for songwriting for all our songwriters out there?
I like to jot down my emotions. What am I feeling? What is on my heart, right? And then I put whatever words they are, right, in place. And then going from there, I try to create a story, a lyrical story to that reflects exactly what I'm experiencing or feeling, giving analogies or, painting a picture with words. I don't think a lot of artists understand lyricists. The beauty of a lyricist is as someone able to paint a picture with words and you could visualize it as you're listening to it. And I think that's an art that's lost. People, especially in the hip hop culture, they're more concerned about the rhyme scheme or whether, they got a good punchline, and punchlines are great. But if you're not able to paint picture with words, it's sad. Like one of my favorite MCs is not besides Eminem is Nas. And there's a song called Rewind, and it's not a very good song. I wouldn't advise anybody to listen to it because it really has a lot of sexual innuendo in there. It's not for teenagers. Don't listen to it, teenagers. Adults, go ahead, listen to it. But he raps this song backwards, the whole song, and it talks about the activities that's going on, and then this turns into this because this was this once, and then you just see the whole progression of this entire story, and it ends with the voicemail, and the voicemail in the song, is what started the whole song, and he re-rapped the whole thing backwards. And I was like, the creativity in that is beautiful, and the fact that you're able to visualize this as you're listening to it is amazing. And that's really what I try to do with when I write lyrics. Is I really try to create a picture, paint a picture with my words so that people could visualize it. And, it means something more to them that way. Not just something that they listen to and like, oh yeah, I like this line. I want them to be able to visualize it and impact them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting because a lot of times when I'm writing a song or songs, I should say, I do have some kind of either a storytelling vibe, like maybe I just feel like I just want to write something, or as I'm listening to another artist on Spotify or whatever, and I just feel like, this song is really getting me these vibes. I want to write. I'm going to see if I can write a song, even if it has nothing to do with the song I was listening to. That's another method I've always used. And another method was if I felt something emotionally, even if I never experienced it, it just hits you. Mm-hmm. And I just write about it, and it comes out with so much of that feeling in there. And I always wonder where that feeling came from. But lately, I wrote an album for a friend. It's in the works right now. He's working on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I wrote 9 songs in a period of a week, multi-genres. And all of them had this feeling. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the feeling like I was asked, to do this album, and I just thought, I could write this. And I went to a whole new transformative writing phase. It was weird. Like I wasn't writing how I usually had written. I wrote more like what you were saying, more the picture, visionary, and it blew my mind really because it didn't take much thought of anything really. I just managed to do it. I'll share them with you if you're interested in hearing
Oh
those.
yeah, I
But
definitely want to hear them.
yeah,
I love listening to different artists and that, like, and listening and figuring out how they crafted things,
mhm,
um, because it allows, like, you know, other creativity to spin off. Like, I go to these events, and this basketball player named Byron Davis, he played for the LA Clippers, and he hosts these things called creative workshops. And
mhm,
it's a bunch of creators, whether they're YouTubers or musicians or artists, that get together, and we just kind of just create and just kind of jam out and just listen to and just appreciate other people's art, and how they create these things, and especially when it comes to music. And what's always inspiring, what interesting to me is learning the different techniques and different things that other artists do to create this artwork that they have done. And being creative is not, oh yeah, got it.
mhm.
Creating this artwork is a beautiful thing to do. um because and learning how they do it just equips me with more tools in order to do it for myself. um Baron Davis. I'm sorry. Yes, Baron Davis. Thank you. Thank you. And actually, it's funny. Like, I got a text messages from his camp just the other day, and they're like, they wanted me to RSVP for this. It's called Backyard Rhythms. And that's actually tonight at 5 p.m. And I have not yet RSVP'd because I have a bunch of work to do. So I may not be able to get there.
Aw,
But well, I have to raise funds for our nonprofit, right? So
mhm,
we have to raise $2,500 by Monday, so we could pay the IRS their share of the fees that we owe them, so that we could get our nonprofit stamped and approved. And that way, people. Here's the great thing about it. Let's say somebody wants to donate, right? And instead of sending super chats where the YouTube's going to take 30%,
mhm,
they could give to the nonprofit where the money, 100% of the money goes to exactly where you want it to go.
mhm,
And like I said, I'm going to be supporting other creators, such as like young creators like yourself. If they're creating a message that falls in line with the Sons of Thor, I want them to succeed. There's not enough good young women out there that are giving you messages like you're giving, right? And we need to change that. We need to inspire young women to hear what you're saying. And if that means, what, I'm going to send you $500 a month, right, to create content like this and this line that it encourages young women to reject feminism and embrace femininity, right? And then I want to support that. I want that message to get out there. If that means if my nonprofit is going to support you, then that's what it's going to take. Then that's what it's going to take, and we're going to do it. Because that's what we want to see happen. We want to see change. How do we change? Well, we have to change the culture. But first, the change starts with us.
yeah. Starts with us. It's got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, do you have a link to this this nonprofit thing, or
So we actually, the
just share?
nonprofit is still in the process.
Oh,
We're
okay.
building the website right now. The website,
Okay.
actually, I just got a couple emails that I during my live stream, I haven't checked yet.
Mhm.
The website may need just my approval at this point. And then right now, until we get the EIN number, I'm directing everybody to donate to my Cash App. If we get 100 people to donate $25 to my Cash App, we reach our goal. And then once we reach the goal Monday morning, or even tonight, if we hit the goal tonight, I call my lawyer that's working with us. That he's a lawyer that works for the company that I am working with for the nonprofit, and get them the payment. And then come Monday, everything is solidified. And then we're just waiting for the IRS, which will take about 2 to 3 months to send us all our documents with their stamp of approval. But everything has already been approved so far. We are just doing the last portion, which is the money part. Because the IRS is not going to let you be a tax write-off without taking their pound of flesh. So
Yeah. Evil IRS.
the government wants their money.
Yeah. People got to get paid. Okay, so this might be the last. Well, actually, I'll do 2 more questions. Ever played sports in high school at all?
Yes, I played football all 4 years. I did baseball growing up to little league, all the way up until high school. I never played baseball in high school, but I played
Mhm.
football. I was big into theater, so I had to choose between um, playing, baseball or playing or doing theater in the springtime. So and I was, like I said, I was really big into theater, so um I chose theater because I love doing, Shakespeare. I love doing musicals. um I was just really enjoyed it, and so I stuck to football during the fall, and I did theater year round. So that was
Oh,
my thing.
what was your best theater experience?
We did this musical called Away Away We Go, and I had to do this dance routine um with a friend of mine who was considered like the hottest chick in high school. And I had two left feet growing up. Like I couldn't dance to save my soul if I needed to. And then so she was like, look, you're not gonna make me look stupid, and you're not gonna step on my dress and make us both fall over. So we practice and we practice and we practice. And I had to do it in cowboy boots too. So there was a little slick with the cowboy boots. And you know, it was great performance. It was fun. Um, Shakespeare was always confusing me because I didn't understand what I was saying, so it was really kind of hard to really grasp it. I really wasn't a smart student, but I was really good at performing. So doing the musicals, that was always fun because it's a different type of you know theater rather than just acting a character, incorporating. And I don't think we have enough entertainers in the world that, like Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke he sang, he played instruments, like he did everything. And we don't have celebrities like that anymore.
Yeah.
We have celebrities that play one character and they're the same character in every movie, right? And that's where we're giving millions of dollars to now, rather than genuine entertainers that were able to just do it all. And I think that's that we lost in this country. And yeah, Mel Brooks seriously can never be replaced.
Yeah.
I agree.
And from what I was told by a friend who is an actor, and he's in Vegas and he's starring in this sci-fi series that he's still on set on, and he was saying how Hollywood has put him in the same kind of acting character, and he goes, "This is not what I wanted, because I can do so much more. I don't like that I'm minimized to this one standard of how I am, what Hollywood says I should be, and how I am in the industry." And
Yeah.
he
It's being
goes,
typecast. Like I'm typecast. I'm always the bad guy. I'm always the gangster. I'm always the DEA agent, the undercover cop, but they will never let me be the doctor.
"Hmm,
I don't know why. I watched enough House. I know how to diagnose lupus. Okay.
yeah, and you could be the sweet dad." It's like, come on.
Yeah, like no, like I would be like the tough dad that's so hard on their kids that their kids hate life. No,
Yeah,
like like I can like, they would never give me that role. It's always the bad guy. And it's fine because I find the bad guy is the most freeing character in the world because he's not in a box. The bad guy could be as nice as he wants to be or as evil as he wants to be. Um, Good guys are stuck in this box. They have to be good. Everything they do has to be good.
yeah,
Bad guys don't have to be. There's freedom there.
yeah. I think that was what Killian Murphy said, because he goes, "I always like to go in between," but I thought he said he loved the villain because playing the villain was just more variety and you could do anything you wanted. So that's actually really cool that you have that same kind of viewpoint, about starring as villains.
Oh yeah, villains are they're free. We have the easiest job as villains. Good guys, they have it hard. They always got to be good.
Yeah. So I'll make this my final question, returning back to music. Um, have you ever made any studio albums with what you've done so far in songwriting and making music?
So I've released my own album, not a studio album. I released it like from my home studio. It's out there. It's on Spotify, Apple Music. And it really was like the album was my breakup process. from my last serious relationship. And it goes from, you see the darkness of it in the very beginning of how distraught and how broken a man was, until like this man rebuilding himself, becoming something new. And then at the very end, you see that, the last song is called Not That Guy Anymore. So, and it's like this woman comes back into his life and she's like, oh yeah, why don't you? He's like, yeah, I'm not that guy anymore. The guy that you loved died, and I've created this new version of me. And this new version of me, I enjoy and I like, and I live it. And it's I think the album is called Here I Stand. I play the bass in all of the songs. I write all the lyrics. So I'm not always the ones doing the vocals, because when God said make a joyful noise, he told me to shut up, and he gave me a bass guitar. So all I do now is I just sit here and just, play this thing, and that's how I make my noise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I have a couple new songs out. Like I just did the song that I released on my birthday called The Death of Me. It's a really neat song. It's like what's really somber about that song was like Thor died on May 18th. My birthday is July 18th. And I couldn't get out of my head that we were supposed to go to the desert and shoot and blow up tannerite. All day long, I was thinking of what him and I were going to be doing. And it's like, don't mourn the death of me, because as long as my words are free and they're out there, then this is not the death of me. This is just the beginning of my eternity. And it was a really like good way to honor his life and his legacy, even on my own birthday.
Yeah. Ever since the news of his passing was a shock to me, because I never expected a man like him, or even a man like you, that ever happening. It's, especially when that person is very close to you, and I knew how very close he was to you, that I just knew that you were going through the, that hard time, the grieving. Yeah.
And the grieving process, I don't know how soon or quickly it ends, because there's moments where there's moments where I feel I'm strong, I'm confident in this, and then there's the moments that hit me and I'm just like, oh, my heart is like, just in distress. And I think there's moments that, through life, I mean, it's only been 2 months. So how quickly can somebody get over someone that's been so monumental in their life, right? If you could get over them in 2 months, then were they ever that monumental?
Yeah. I think it should stay with you for as long as you live, and you just remember that person and cherish that person in memory.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking just that moment when they died, you just think of the moments like, or when you do something that reminds you of them, you just think, I remember doing this with them and everything. And it gives me that memory and that love and that,
Yeah. It's funny because like yesterday, I was entered in an axe throwing competition. Well, who taught me how to throw axes? It was Thor. Right? And I won this competition. Now, mind you, only compete against one person, but it was like best out of 3. And like, as little as a victory as that is, I'm sitting there like, thank you, big guy. You taught me how to throw this. You taught me how to do this. And I came out here. I saw, I conquered. I was victorious. And it was all because you taught me how to throw axes. You didn't let me leave your house until I fucking knew how to throw axes. And that's something that him and I did, every time, every day, even when I was out there, being his caretaker for the last 7 months of his life. There was never a day that we weren't going out there to throwing axes or doing something, sharpening axes, making axes. Like, it was a pastime that, that I will always remember and always treasure, and that I plan on leaving forward for the next generation, because it's a stupid sport, but it was something that, little confidence could build off of that. A man learns how to throw an axe and he gets confident in themselves, and he thinks that, oh, I could do something else. And then he builds off of that confidence of success, and just little stepping stones build the way up to becoming great.
Yeah.
So
And we're happy to have you, Glenn, for that.
well,
So,
thank you. I'm happy to
yes.
be had.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's about it. It looks like. Thank you, Glenn, for coming on and joining on the panel.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you don't mind. Maybe sometime in the future we could do this again.
I would love to. You know, and I'm gonna tell all the audience this, okay? For the longest time, when me and Charlotte would talk, okay, it was never talking. It was always text message. She would always type everything out to me. And this was the first time I have heard this young lady's voice. And I have to say, I think everybody needs to hear this young lady's sweet voice. She has an amazing voice. And I was like, wait a minute, this is the first time I'm hearing you talk to me for the first time ever. I feel so honored and privileged. And again, I really truly am grateful for this opportunity to be a guest and to be interviewed by you. And I do wish you the very, very much more success in the future. And I would love to come back on and be interviewed by you again when the time is right.
Yes, totally. And this is actually the first interview that I'm actually on screen more. I started off with live streams. So this is the first interview that I'm showing full face for an interview.
Wow. Now I'm even more honored.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you here with us too. So anybody? Yeah, and I always text too. It's like I'm very shy, camera shy, and sometimes I get nervous going in VCs, and I fear saying the wrong thing or I say it wrong, and it's awkward, and I get embarrassed for about a week. So I always just dodged, and now I'm trying to regain my confidence into showing my face more and talking, because I do have communication skills when talking. So
I think from a podcaster to a podcaster, let me tell you, you have done a very good job with this interview. Okay. I think you have done a very good job, and do not shy away from it. Show your face, stand firm, and stand for what you believe in, because you have a voice that should be heard. And that, there's a lot of young women out there that could use your inspiration and take the message that you say, and that could impact and change their lives for the better. So I want to applaud you and encourage you to continue doing all the great things that you're doing.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you.
You're very welcome. With that, I'm going to let you go. But it's a pleasure as always. And until next time, chat always wins. Charlotte, you are a dear. I didn't get killed by the werewolf, folks. I survived the werewolf. Okay. So you guys could do it too.
Yes.
All right. You have a good day, dear.
You too. Okay. Bye, all. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.